This week's Indian Lake Fishing Report is brought to you by Indian Lake Outfitters, downtown Lakeview, Ohio, and powered by Pro Joe's Baits.
We're wishing everyone a very happy and very safe 4th of July weekend. Welcome to this week's holiday edition of the Indian Lake Fishing Report, brought to you by Indian Lake Outfitters and powered by Pro Joe's Baits. Big shout out to Boaters Helping Boaters for everything you do for the boating community on Indian Lake. Thank you. We'd love to make sure that everybody has a very safe and wonderful holiday weekend. You know, the fireworks at Indian Lake are some of the biggest and best fireworks shows around. It's no surprise that Indian Lake gets very busy on a holiday weekend. A lot of boat traffic. So please, people, follow all of your state and local regulations while you're out there. Wear your PFDs and kill switches when applicable. Stay safe out there. With that holiday weekend being so busy and heavy boat traffic, you can still catch fish if you follow just a couple of my simple suggestions. 1, start fishing before the sun comes up. Those heavy partiers are still in bed and you can still catch fish. And also go back out late at night after you get a good dinner in you, have a good holiday meal, go back out just before dark. You might just catch some sawguy, and I'm gonna help you learn how to do that here in just 1 minute. Grab yourself a hot cup of coffee and let's talk fish. Folks, this is an all new Indian Lake Fishing Report. Make sure you like, share, comment down below. It helps our channel tremendously. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. We're on all the social media platforms, TikTok, Facebook. You'll catch us on Facebook posts and Facebook Live, TikTok videos. We'll have some future fish fries coming up with some killer fish sauce, some recipes, just a bunch of good content coming. But let's talk sawguy. As some of you know, I'm very infatuated with sawguy fishing right at the moment. That bite, the thump, it just, you can't replace it. Money can't buy that feeling. I just love, even just when you get that little tick. If you've never been sawguy fishing before, you gotta go. It's worth, even if you miss one, it's worth knowing what it feels like to have one tick that bait or actually thump it and take it, because it's just amazing. It gets my blood pumping. But let's talk a little bit more about how you can catch some of these this holiday weekend. I have been catching them during mid-afternoon, which everybody says, ooh, really? Mid-afternoon bite? Because a lot of guys will catch them in the morning. You're probably going to have your most luck early in the morning before sun up, or right when the sun's going down. And I'll explain to you why. For those of you that don't know that much about sawguy, within the last year, I've been doing a lot of studying, research on them, and I'm still not the greatest at catching them, but I'm getting better. Sawguy's eyes are very sensitive. They do not like bright light, daylight. That's why you're catching them in them darker hours. But let me explain a little different scenario here on this lake. Indian Lake is known as one of the best saugeye fisheries around for the simple reason it has a muddy, murky stain to the water. Now, when I hear somebody say, I'm thinking about coming up this weekend, is the water muddy? Well, it's too muddy. No, it's not too muddy. It's perfect. That's the perfect condition to catch them saugeye because that light's not penetrating the water and affecting their eyes. You see, when that light's bothering their eyes, they go deep. Now, there's a couple different factors that's going to affect these fish when it comes to saugeye fishing. For one, the wind will create waves. Waves will also keep that sunlight from penetrating the water, which will let the saugeye come up and catch them at maybe a mid water level instead of off the bottom. But what I've been doing during the daytime, I've been trying to go out on overcast or cloudy days. We all know saugeye like it miserable. It could be snowing and blowing 40-mile-an-hour sideways, and you're going to catch saugeye, and they're going to bite furiously. But on these summer days like this, I've been dragging the bottom with a swim bait. Low and slow. Reel that bad boy just as slow as you can possibly stand it. You will be bored. But all of a sudden it feels like you hooked into a tree, or like you got a 20-pound brick on the end of your line. You're caught. You start pulling and reeling. You're thinking, oh crap, I'm hung on something. And all of a sudden, that thing just starts pounding furiously. You win. You got me, man. I'm hooked. So that's how I've been catching them midday saugeye. Give it a try. What else? So there's 8 more tournaments to be held this year out of Moundwood Marina, in a combination of Moundwood Marina and the Shelter House at Moundwood. So, and those are different tournaments. Some are bass, some are catfish. So, like I said, there's a total of 8 more left this year. They may get more added, but I will try to keep you up to date on them coming up in the future. Let's show you a little tip or trick that I think is very important, not only in saugeye fishing, but when it comes to any type of fishing on Indian Lake. And that has to do with how you're tying your jigs and how your baits are placed on your jig head. So let's take a look at this jig head and this bait. I've got a swim bait here, about a 3-inch swim bait. Many of you know the name of that. It's that Dirty Money. Good looking bait. Good looking jig head. 1/8 ounce jig head. There's 2 factors that are either going to let you catch fish, or you're not going to catch fish, or just have a hard time catching fish. One is, you want to make sure that hook is centered as much as you can get it right down the middle of this swim bait. That'll allow that swim bait to swim naturally through the water. You don't want it off-centered and swimming crooked. It's not going to look natural to the fish. You might catch something, more than likely not. The second factor is how you tie a knot. I always use a loop knot. That loop knot will keep your bait from, if you tie a knot, just regular knot, it's going to hang your bait. Come back here. It's going to hang your bait straight up and down. You don't want that. You want that bait swimming naturally, once again, through the water. Okay? So that loop knot's going to let your bait, excuse me, I get smoke in my eye. It's going to let your bait lay and swim just like that through the water. Between the knot and the water pressure underneath this bait is going to push up. So under your line, it's going to be laying there just like that. and it's going to swim just like that right through the water. It's very important. The south bank and the west bank has been producing saugeye. The saugeye being caught on the south bank, close to the spillway, on the lake side of the wall. Okay, they're using swim baits and leeches under a bobber, and the occasional minnow under a bobber or off the bottom. West bank is the same deal. Hit all the points. Just take a nice long walk. Throw as much as you can. Drag the bottom. If you go to Chippewa's still been on fire out in the main lake. Go out past the docks, all the way to the back where the gravel turnaround is, and you've got a hot spot for saugeye right now. Let's talk about perch. That hot bite's on. Off the bottom, folks, drop shot. Red worm, everywhere around the lake you go, you can catch perch using that technique. If you are new and you're having problems catching fish at Indian Lake, stop by Indian Lake Outfitters. Bring your pole in to me. I'll be hanging out there on Tuesdays and Fridays. Come see me. Let's take a look at your setup. Maybe you're not doing anything wrong. You might just not be rigged right. Let's take a look at it. So if I didn't mention it yet, the previous storms have drove the water temperature in the lake down. So the current water temperature in the lake is somewhere around 71 degrees, give or take. Depends on where you're at. Some parts of the lake are going to be warmer, some cooler, depending on shade, wind, depth, the whole 9 yards. So the crappie have went back and kind of held tight to structure. That's where you're going to find them. They're still kind of holding tight. They were out in the middle of the channels. They were easy to find a week or so ago before the rainstorms hit. That's where we're at on the crappie right now. I'll have to go back out and do a little hunting for some crappie again. But that's where we are. They'll be back once the water temperature starts warming up a little bit in the mornings. You can start working those docks, seawalls, rocks, all that. That's where you're going to find them. Make no mistake, folks, these fish eat all year long, every day. They have to eat at some point. So you need to figure out how to be Johnny on the spot when you can be. And that's easy to do with just a little bit of understanding of these creatures' habits. Indian Lake Outfitters has a lot of great resources when it comes to pamphlets. You have pamphlets with lake maps. Look at that. A couple different designs or styles. Showing you locations, state parks, camping, the whole 9 yards. But the one that intrigues me most is the one with the depths. You can see it shows all of your depths around the lake. Shows your no ski zones. So that's very important to have with you, I think. Stop into Indian Lake Outfitters and grab you some pamphlets with your maps. Logan County Visitor's Guide is another good source also. Make sure you stop in and pick up pamphlets. The channel cat, it's like a fire bite still. They've been hitting swim baits, jigs as soon as they hit the top of the water. But other than that, you can use your hot dogs, fish the bottom, use your night crawlers. The channel cats are on fire right now. The flatheads, that bite's still good, but we need the water temperatures to come up just a bit for them to really be on fire. But make no mistake, you will catch one if you go fishing for one. Get your pole, get it restrung. That hot bite's on at Indian Lake. That bass bite's good too. The size of the bass in Indian Lake have just shot right up there. That's why you see so many bass tournaments on Indian Lake. It's becoming a bass lake also. Folks, they're hitting swim baits on top of the water. They're hitting them running. They're hitting minnows. Get you some bass minnows and throw them under a bobber. Let me tell you a little secret about the way to fish Indian Lake. Stay at about 3 foot deep for just about anything other than perch. You're going to get hit. Indian Lake's not a real deep lake. So there's certain little jigs and different things that you can use that are predominant in Indian Lake that work very, very well, tried and true. That bluegill bite's still hot. Use a small 1/64 ounce or 1/32 ounce jig. If you're not getting them tight against a seawall or docks, switch up to an ice jig. It's time to downsize. Give them a little bit of finesse. Tip it with a wax worm. Guarantee you're going to pull a lot of bluegill out. There's no doubt there's two types of fishing. You can do that lazy day fishing. Kick back in the old chair, get your rocking chair, sit back, crack you a cold one or a nice hot cup of coffee, and enjoy your day. Or you can run and gun the lake. Myself, I can't find the happy medium in between. Stay on the move if you're not finding them. You will find them. There's one thing that you need in that tackle box that you can't buy from any store around here, and that's patience. Good patience. It pays off. Many of you asked about the spillway. It's kind of dried up. There's really not enough water down there to do anything until we get a bunch more rain. This weekend they're calling for more rain, so maybe by next week it may be flowing. Who knows? Yeah, all right, folks. There is a new kid in town. As many of you know, I've been using some new baits this year. I've been using some Pro Joe's baits. They've been working out very well. I've been working with some crappie jigs or crappie baits from Pro Joe's, and they've produced very well for me, and I'll continue using them. We have a very special announcement coming up from Pro Joe's Baits. I'm very, very excited about this one. You'll be hearing about that at another date very soon, though. Probably in next week's report. I can't wait to share it with all of you. I'm very excited. For those of you that love the carp fish, the carp are busting water everywhere. White bass, there's some white bass being caught sporadically here and there, but I have not really seen the white bass make their way back up the river. It won't be long. The white bass should be on fire once this water warms up just a little bit. I can't wait for that neither. I love the non-stop action of catching white bass. I've seen a lot of comments of people saying, I can't troll up there. The weeds are bad. Bull crap. There's a lot of people trolling south and west bank. It's producing, with flicker sheds, it's producing saugeye. Another place that's really producing saugeye trolling would be out on the islands. I can stand there and watch them guys every pass pull in 2 of them right out in front of me when I'm on the island. So if you troll that area, or you could troll out there close to Chippewa. Chippewa's been producing a lot of saugeye out on the main lake trolling there. So, and if you're wanting to be in a boat and not fish the bank, you want somebody to put you on a bunch of fish, you can contact Chad Owsley. Okay, he'll take you out. Captain Chad would put you right on them. If you're looking for a boat to rent while you're up here spending time, a weekend, holiday, vacation, whatever, whether it be a pontoon or a fishing boat, you can contact Captain Ron at Summertime Rentals. Them folks have nice equipment. They do a great job with the customers and their service. We appreciate everything they do. You'll have a great time on Indian Lake. Check out Summertime Rentals, and I'm pretty sure he's got some sort of promo code, discount code going on. So you might want to go over there and follow his page and stay up with what type of promotions he's got going on discounts for boat rentals. Until next Thursday, tight lines and solid hook sets, folks. Have a very safe and wonderful 4th of July.